All right, Coach, wrapping up the fall season here as November gets closer. Just talk about, I know you had probably a lot of highlights during the fall season. Just talk about some of the things that you guys accomplished.
Yeah, I think it was a great opportunity for us to get a chance to evaluate our guys. We scrimmaged. Gosh, we had at least 3 days a week where we scrimmaged. So plenty of innings for guys to pitch, plenty of at-bats for guys to, get up to the plate and show us what they could do, and an opportunity to move guys around defensively and try to see how roles can be defined and kind of who fits where. So I think it was very productive from that standpoint, while still getting a chance to put in a new system. I had no familiarity with any of the guys, and they obviously not with me as well. So we were able to take advantage of that this fall, and very pleased with how that came out, because it can be a process to get your things in place and to get terminology and those kind of things figured out. But really, it came very quickly, and it's credit to our guys for their effort and their dedication and their discipline about going about their business this fall.
You mentioned the system, instilling that. Just talk about maybe what that system is. What's the Coach Gillispie way?
Well, mostly we were trying to get them to compete in all aspects. Everything that we did was a competition, whether it was in the weight room or whether it was the grade reports that came in. We had one-on-one pitcher versus pitcher matchups anytime we scrimmaged. We had points for execution. We had points that were lost for a lack of execution or negative outcomes. So it's mostly competing, playing hard, giving your best effort for whatever time frame we were asking them to be out there. And really we tried to keep things simple, but multiply the reps, get as many reps on maybe a fewer number of things in the fall, so that we can get that locked in and become real familiar with that, and because that's kind of how the game's played. I mean, it's not brain surgery to play the game. I mean, it's been around a long time, and it's a fairly simple game for those that enjoy it and like to study it and understand it. But it's the repetition and the executing of it that really obviously determines the wins and losses. So we were trying to get the repetitions in on a few basic things, and really for the most part we accomplished a great deal.
You being a first-time head coach, just talk about your experience doing that. Your first fall season as being the head guy.
Way different, obviously. Much of my duties, vast majority of my duties as an assistant, revolved around teaching the game and executing practice plans and recruiting and those kind of things. This is the least amount of recruiting I've ever done in my life as far as going out and seeing players, and so that was an adjustment to the administrative side for me personally. But coming up with trying to come up with what I wanted to do and set the objectives for the week and how to go about those. I mean, that was from a day in day out aspect, that was way different for me, but it's been a lot of fun. Obviously the staff that's here has been a great help in accomplishing what we had set out to do this fall, and for the most part I think the transition's going pretty well. Obviously for me as a head coach, there's still a learning curve, and there's some things that I'll have to figure out, but then hopefully for the players as well, adjusting to us.
How about just being in a new place? You were at Jacksonville State for a long time. The same head coach now. Some new faces, obviously. Just talk about that adjustment.
Yeah, it's different. Getting a family moved up here from the south. It's different cultural things to deal with, and just how things run at YSU. Obviously, there's differences in departments in universities across the country, and trying to get familiar with those and not do things because of habit that you developed in the last 11 years. I mean, there was some adjustment there, but again, the people that are here, the staff, in the athletic department's just been fantastic in helping that transition happen, not only for myself but for our assistants as well.
Going back into the baseball side, big experience for you evaluating talent in the past. Purely on talent, I guess, during your evaluation in the fall, what you saw maybe versus what you expected, where those two things measure up against each other?
I felt the skill level of the players that were here was much higher than what maybe the statistics or the win-loss record from last year would have shown. There's probably, I will estimate that there'll be a handful, 5-6 guys that are 90-mile-an-hour arms. There are 6-7 guys that run under a 7 flat 60, which we have a fairly athletic team. The outfield the outfielders are going to be able to defend very well. We're going to be very solid behind the plate. The infielders, even though there's not maybe a lot of depth, a lot of bodies on the infield, there's still guys that can move a little bit and have pretty good hands and going to be able to, I think, hold their own that way. Yeah, I think it all comes down really to playing the game and how they're going to approach it, and that's one of the reasons we tried to have so much competition, just to see how they would handle those kind of things. Because from a skill level, just a pure run, hit, throw, field standpoint, there is some pieces here that I think will allow us to be competitive in a lot of different settings, not just within the league, but within the region and hopefully against some of the national type opponents that we do have on the schedule.
Were there some strengths that maybe emerged that you saw, like, hey, this is something that maybe we can depend on to win some games? Whether it's offense, pitching, defense? Yeah,
there was some guys that handled the bat pretty well. I thought from the short game offense, that standpoint, the bunting, hit and run, those kind of things, they handle the bat really well. Another strong point, I think, is the depth in the pitching staff. There's 9, 10, 11, 12 guys that showed some promise, and I think if you've got that kind of number that you can feel confident in and comfortable in going out during a game, you can mix and match and piece things together here and there as the game starts to unfold. Where I've been coaching on teams where we didn't have but maybe 6 or 8 guys that we felt real comfortable with in any kind of role, and so you have to kind of go with what you got. But here I think we can maybe pick and choose what we want to do from a pitching standpoint a little bit more than maybe what I thought we might have coming into it.
I know that you haven't been out on the road a lot recruiting, but your assistants have been. Just talk about what the reception of Youngstown State baseball has been on the road, with the coaching staff in the new era.
Well, it's been really a good reception. I mean, obviously, connections that our staff has nationwide. There's been a lot of people giving us well wishes, and we have literally been coast to coast looking at high school players and junior college players, and the reception has been very good, and especially when we've been able to give them links to the website, and we've been able to show the facilities that we have, and people seem to be very receptive with what's going on here. We've had a couple of kids in already to visit campus, and we plan to have a couple more in between now and the mid-November signing date, and hopefully we'll get a few yeses. But there has been a good deal of interest from kids that we feel are very talented and have had some interaction with some major baseball schools, maybe not offers from South Carolina or somebody that's a major national championship type contender, so to speak, but kids that are at least being looked at and recruited and getting letters and phone calls from major schools are showing some interest in us here as well. So it's been again a pleasant surprise to see kind of the reception we have gotten nationwide.
What type of players do you look for? I mean, obviously talent helps, but just in general.
I mean, obviously we're looking for somebody that's good in the classroom. We don't look too far past the transcript if it's not acceptable to us, kind of what the academic record has been. But we want somebody that really is going to like to compete, that loves the game of baseball, wants to take advantage of the opportunity to play college baseball, because it's not something that everybody can do. Somebody that's committed to success and a quality person off the field as well. Those are the kind of guys that's going to fit into our program and do well. We have just top to bottom of our roster is filled with those kind of kids already, and so I tip my hat to the previous staff for the kids that are here, the type of kids that they are, and we're going to continue to build upon that with those kind of kids that want to be first-class student athletes and are committed to winning championships.
You talked before about using camps as a good way to see recruits, and then touching early on, when you got here about just getting involved with the community. Can you just touch on those two things about getting kids into camp for the recruiting aspect, and then just having the baseball program out in the community, just those two things together?
Yeah, right. We've had a lot of events that we've taken part in, just from a community standpoint. We were out at Eastwood Field for their Halloween event, their trick-or-treat event, last week, and gosh, I think we handed out candy for about 2.5 hours, but we've been at different events in the community, some things with elementary schools that they're going to be reading to those kids. We're speaking at different events, and then obviously promoting the program that way. And then from a camp standpoint, we've been able to have one so far, a showcase camp where we had some quality kids in there, some kids with some good tools. How many of those we would say we're actively recruiting, we're still meeting on that, trying to figure that out, but we were pleased with the turnout of that for our first camp. And obviously we want to promote that more, do some things in the winter with maybe some extended sessions of hitting camps, some weekend multiple weekend sessions, just helping to teach the game of baseball and get kids involved in the wintertime that maybe aren't in basketball or wrestling or something like that on the high school level, because that can be such a good recruiting tool for us, because one, we get to work with them, two, we get to build a relationship with them as an individual as well, which goes so far such a long way in the recruiting process, because that's really what it comes down to, is the relationships with the staff and a recruit. So hopefully we can expand on what we've done so far. It's been kind of you gotta get your feet wet and get things started, which we have done, but hopefully we can promote that and expand on that very quickly.
And then just your agenda kind of between now and February when practice really gets going, camps, but other things.
Right, we're going to be really focused in on our players, developing baseball skills, improving arm strength, improving running speed, working with swing mechanics, fielding mechanics, those kind of things that you maybe back off a little bit when you're scrimmaging as much as we did. You want to allow them to be able to play and not be worrying too much about a coach changing this or changing that. So we're going to dial in on a lot of that this fall between now and Thanksgiving. And then basically when we come back from Thanksgiving, we've got 1 week that we'll try to finish up in the weight room and do as much of that between now and then as we can. But it's 1 week in December before finals week hits, and we're going to be shut down and kids will be going home. So a little bit of time left, but not much. It's going to go by real quickly, and then we just have January to look forward to when school starts back in the middle of the month, and we can get back in maybe a couple weeks kind of as a spring training kind of approach, and then right at the 1st of February into January we'll get into the team aspect, really try to hammer home our team defense, the bunt defenses, first and third defenses. We'll be out trying to promote the program some more between now and February. We're talking about some recruiting priorities for come the spring. We're going to try to take our staff to the National Coaches Convention and again try to promote the program nationally, and then continue with, like I said, with some camps and see what we can get done from that standpoint between now and February the 15th when we open up.